Hi, welcome back to Comma, where we exist between the spaces to ask questions, to laugh, to cry, and not needing to have all the answers. Today, we have a very special guest, Dr. Cam Wong, who's hailing from Sydney, Australia. He's been working with children, adolescents, and even adults in the psychology and psychiatric area, and that's your
Yes.
expertise. He's been doing it for the past 30 years. And you know what? Fun fact, he's originally from Penang. So, welcome, Dr. Cam Wong.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation and coming in to have a chat.
Yes, it's so good to have you here with us, and I think I've heard so much about you, and having this last few days to spend time with you has given me a lot of insights, and I think you are going to drop some truth bombs, some for the young people that are going to be viewing. So today we are going to talk about a topic called the loneliness paradox,
Yes.
where we live in an age now we are so connected, yet still feel so lonely,
Yes.
and there's this somebody coined this term, digital closeness but emotionally distant.
Yes.
What is your view on that?
Well, I think truly, I think that is a very good and precise and concise definition of the time that we live in. And I guess that is not only true for young people.
Yep.
I suppose that is actually true for population worldwide.
Right.
So, for example, we know that in Japan, one of the mental health problems suffered by the elderly Japanese population is actually loneliness.
Right.
And the same as in Australia as well. Yeah, so I think if you were to ask me, the number one mental health issue is not depression, is not anxiety, is not obsession,
Wow.
is not OCD, but the number one issue is actually isolation or feeling of loneliness. Yes.
And so when you talked about how all the lists of what we commonly know as mental health issues stem from loneliness, why do you think that is? Well, we now live in a space where it's easier to connect with people.
Yes.
It's easier to, if I want to call you from Penang, I can call you anytime.
Yes.
But what has attributed to this epidemic of loneliness?
Yes.
What do you think is the root cause of it?
Yeah. I think the root cause of that, you have to look at human being like Homo sapien. I think primarily we are creatures who need to touch, to smell, to feel, to hear, to speak.
Right.
And not just to form an image. So by that I mean, like today, sitting here in the studio, I can actually see how you express your expression on your face. I can hear your voice. I can actually witness the nodding of your head.
Yep.
And I can actually feel you as a living being. Whereas if I were to text you, then I have to surmise from the text and say,
True.
hey, how is this guy feeling? Is he going to be happy with me?
Yeah.
And is he still connected with me? So we need to have that connection, not through an image, whether it is through Zoom or through some TikTok and social media or some emoji. But we actually need something that is tangible,
Right.
something that I can actually hang on to rather than an image in my mind about this person who is could be a kilometer away or somewhere over another corner of the earth.
Right.
So we are in a way sort of digitally connected, but we are not analogically sort of connected, and I
Right.
think that is a problem.
Right. So if I was a person who is highly connected in the digital space, but I'm struggling with the analog
Yes.
connection, what would your advice be?
Well, I think my advice is try to lead a more balanced life
Okay.
and try to get out of that digital space as well. Now, I think the situation is that for those of us who actually live in this modern era, it is virtually impossible to divorce yourself totally from the digital world.
Right.
For example, I remember that some years ago in Australia, a lot of bills that I have to pay in those days, I actually have to go into the bank or to go into an office, present my bill, and then paid, and then the person at the counter would put a stamp on it that says paid, and I know that because I have that experience, I paid it. Then the world developed in such a way that
Right.
these days they make it impossible for me to pay it in person. Everything has to be done digitally, and I just have to sort of accept that when I
Right.
press the button and some transaction digitally take place, and I have confidence that it has been paid digitally.
Right.
So I think life has to be a balance. We do those things that are necessary for us because technology does, in a sense, make life easier for
Right.
us, make procedure easier for us. But when it comes to human being, it's not a procedure. We don't connect with each other through procedure. We connect with each other through tangible thing of hearing your voices and or hearing your voice and being able to participate in that space, what we call that interpersonal space.
Right.
Interpersonal space doesn't take place digitally. That is a digital space. So we need that.
Right. And so well, there are some counter arguments to that. Like, people would say, what about if I am connected with somebody via the virtual reality space,
Yes.
right? I'm having that connection with somebody, though we are far away.
Yes.
But, with the advancement of technology, I believe there are some advancement now where they are beginning to be able to capture face expression
Yes.
and intonation of voice.
Yes.
What's your view on that? How would you answer that question?
Yeah. I think whilst it can capture that, it is still quite limited. I mean, of course, if you can actually relate to another person through the visual means of looking through the screen, that is better than an emoji, for example. So if you put a thumb up to me, if I say something, I really don't know what you mean to a certain extent. You get what I mean? I kind of surmise that if you put a thumb up, because universally a thumb up means that, well, you approve of it, you agree with it, you think it's a great idea. But I don't know how great the idea is because I can't see your smile. I can't see you kind of saying, hey, that is a great idea. I surmise that, oh, maybe it's like this and that. So to the degree of communication, it is very limited to how I imagine you to have responded to me. But of course, then with a visual image, then that makes it better.
Yep.
But still, with the visual image, I can't actually capture the small muscle, for example. Let's say I can see the visual image of you smiling, but I don't actually fully appreciate how you smile.
Right.
So for those of us who know AI, for example, I mean, these days a lot of images are generated by AI, but after a while, you can tell that it's AI.
Right.
Because the face has no wrinkles and everything is smooth, everything is perfect. Whereas if I see somebody, then I can capture everything. And I think the worst thing about the digital space communication is the lack of touch.
Right.
So when I communicate with you, if you feel truly excited, let's say, or you have a very positive emotion as a result of our interaction, you may lean over and you may touch my hand.
Yeah.
But you can't do that digitally.
True,
Because
true.
there's always that distance.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right. And I think that's a good way to also bring into alignment that is not just about the facial expression or seeing, but it's also the nuances of small things that AI may not be able to catch it.
Yes.
So, let's zoom in a little bit deeper into your field expertise.
Yes.
What if somebody who says, okay, I am highly connected, I'm lonely, I want to detach.
Yes.
I want to go touch grass and make friends.
Yes.
But I have this anxiety that if I detach, and what if I'm left behind? I think these are some of the things that people struggle with. Even for me as well. There was a period of time where I was trying to cut down on my social media intake.
Yes.
And I realized there was this fear in me that is the back of my head gnawing at me and say, what if you miss the next important news or you miss the next trend?
Yes.
How do we tackle that?
Yeah, I think what you're describing is actually a fear of the lack of knowledge. But I guess what I'm talking about is a sense of connection.
Right.
So when we live as a human being on this earth, it's not like we need to connect, as it were, in a
Yeah.
very intimate and way to the other 7 billion person or 7 billions minus one persons on this earth. And because at the end of the day, relationships we have to grade according to the significance. So the sort of relationship that means a lot to us, the most we need to have more in the way of connection. Otherwise, I think it would be quite tragic if one day, we can be digitally married to a person and say, I propose to you, and from now on, would you be happy to share life with me forever and ever until, the breakdown of digital communication do we part? I think life would be quite meaningless because you have to get up in the morning and you have to see the person in the best situation, in the worst situation, with the makeup, without the makeup, and in health and in fatness and in thinness. And then you go through life together.
Yeah.
And that is something that you can't actually get from the screen, from the
Right.
digital world. Yes.
Right. We've talked a lot about connection and dealing with the inability to connect. And I
Yes.
think the people know that they need to leave. But let's talk deeper.
Yes.
Right. We live in a highly connected world now, but many are suffering from mental health issues.
Yes.
Whether it's depression
Hmm.
and whether it's anxiety, and there are many forms of it.
Yes.
Well, if a person, I've read some studies where people who are going through certain things, what they do is they go online, they read up on their symptoms,
Yes.
and they diagnose themselves to say,
Yeah.
"Oh, I have depression,"
Hmm.
or "Oh, I have anxiety."
Yes.
What is a good guideline or healthy guideline for somebody to explore this part of this topic
Yeah.
on mental health without having to label themselves as having this particular illness or that particular illness?
Yes.
Is there a boundary or a framework that you encourage your people that you're teaching, people you're
Yes.
journeying with, to use to help identify certain things in their life?
Yeah, I think if a person go online, as I suppose a screening tool, I don't see that as an issue.
Right.
But I think the problem is, especially when it comes to mental health, a lot of people stop at what they see on the screen as the final diagnosis, it were. Now, the issues about when it comes to health, especially mental health, we have to know that when you tick a box and that says, I have this, I have this, I have this, that itself is not actually a diagnosis.
Right.
Because let's not talk about even mental health, let's talk about physical health. So you wake up in the morning, you have a fever, and then you have a cough, and you tick those two boxes. But then there are many, many reasons why you have a fever. You could have infection somewhere in your chest and in your lungs or in your nose or in your gut. You have a cough.
Right.
It could be that you have a viral infection, you have a bacteria, or you have some, perhaps the beginning of some tumor, let's say. So it is dangerous when you are not trained in that way. Then you make the wrong diagnosis.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to know that what we call a symptom can be due to many, many, many factors.
Yeah.
So you need some expert to, I suppose, tease it out for you.
Right.
And that's why they're paid for that. And they go to uni for that.
Right.
So I would advise people not to self-diagnose. Very, very dangerous thing. That is one. And the other thing is I also advise people not to go on forum and listen to the opinion of other people. Now that is very, very, very important as well.
Right.
So let's take, for example, let's say I am the sort of person who prefer natural treatment. So I would be quite adverse to the suggestions of me taking medication. So if I were to go on a site that talk about medication, then I am more likely to cite all the bad things about a medication, including the use of a Panadol.
Right.
Whereas if I am a person who is very skeptical, on the other hand, about natural supplement, then I would go on to a site that talks about vitamins, and then I would be sort of downgrading those studies, and I would say, well, all these things are useless, and you ought to be taking medication. So it is dangerous when we actually go on site, make ourselves the diagnosis, and then follow some suggestions. Yeah.
So with the rise of social media, now there are many, proclaimed experts.
Yes.
So how does one begin to weed out what is not right, what is right? Like you mentioned, sometimes if we are inclined to a certain view,
Yes.
we'll look for certain influencers or doctors online
Yes.
that aligns with our values.
Yep.
But they may not necessarily be experts. They are self-proclaimed. How would you advise somebody to be careful in that sense?
Yeah. I think my first advice is that in this world, there are many, many different experts. So let's say you're not a builder. You want to build a very nice house, a very comfortable house, a very luxurious house. You're not going to start to dig the ground and lay the foundation, lay the bricks, and put up the roof. You want to get the best architect. You want to get the best roof person to build a house for you. Or let's say, you're expecting a child and you're so excited. You're not going to, unless you are, even if you're obstetricians are people who deliver babies, you will still get another person, the best obstetricians to look after your kid, right? So same thing with mental health.
Right.
If I have a mental health issues, just because it is not something that is tangible, I'm not going to start to treat myself. Just like I'm not going to build a condo for myself, or I'm not going to deliver my own baby, and I'm just going to get the best expert. And I also know that I am expert in other areas, so other people, when they need help, they will consult me as well. Yeah. So I think that is very important.
Right.
But I think unfortunately, when it comes to mental health, you can actually divide people in different categories, right? Some of us are very fearful of mental health. So then we would try to convince ourselves that we don't have an issue. We don't have mental health issues. That is one. And the other one is, as I say before, because mental health is something that is not very tangible, then you have people who act as experts, who give you advice.
Right.
Like, you just have to sleep through this, or you just have to will yourself to get through this, and we just got to be more brave. So you can get all sorts of advice or advisors, especially over the net, when it comes to mental health issues. Yeah.
So one thought came to mind when you were talking about people giving advices.
Yes.
There is this age-old statement that says, Gen Zs and Gen As, they are soft now. That's why they're so susceptible to mental health issues. Back in my days, I'm not saying back in my days, my parents' day or my grandparents' days, we were built strong. We are resilient, and we have no mental health issue. So what is your take? I mean, on some ends, maybe there are some lack of awareness. But so what is your take? What do you say to that?
I think, it's very interesting, isn't it? Because when you, again, as I say before, when it comes to mental health, all of us, we seem to have opinion about things. One of the things about mental health is that when somebody tells us about some mental health issues, quite often it actually raises and it actually evokes a sense of helplessness in some of us. It's like, I don't know how to help the person, especially with depression, for example. So because of that, to compensate for my own sense of helplessness, then I tend to either minimize it and say, don't worry about it. You just have to exercise a bit more. You just have to pull up your socks
Right.
and get through this. Or I would say, well, during my time, and there's no such problem as this. So yeah, so that partly sort of is my response to what you say. But I don't really believe that the present generations is soft, as it were. I do believe that the world is getting more and more complex.
Right.
And I think young people have to negotiate a lot more. So take myself, for example. I'm a doctor. And I belong to those generations that I didn't know about marijuana until I went to med school. I wasn't exposed to that.
Right.
But these days, young people, like overseas in Australia, for example, I don't know about Malaysia here, and a lot of them are exposed to this issue of marijuana as young as 10.
Wow.
So they have a lot more in the way of knowledge that they have to negotiate. And drug and alcohol is the same. And I suppose the whole matter of subject matter of sex is the same. So young people are exposed to a lot more.
Yeah.
So for example, these days, young people have to be exposed to things like climate change. So when I was as young as some of these people, life was easy or easier, okay? There's an assumption that life goes on forever.
Right.
Whereas these days, as young as 12 and 13 and or even younger than that, and there's this whole issue of climate change.
Yeah.
So it's a lot harder. And also, I remember when I was younger too, there's more of an assumption that the world is pretty okay. So we used to get out of the house in the neighborhood, and my parents would not worry about me until dinner time. And sometimes even with dinner time, they don't worry. It's just that you don't come home to eat. Too bad for you. There's no dinner for you. Whereas these days is like, the you can't trust, as it were.
Yes.
So there's an erosion of trust that the environment is not as safe as before.
Right.
So I think generally,
Right.
to be fair to the young people, I think there is a lot more in the way of stresses.
Right.
And the other one are choices as well. There's so many choices for young people these days, and it makes it hard for them.
Yeah. Well, it's we live in a complex world now.
Yes.
And I fully agree with you. I think the erosion of trust is one that really affects us all. We can't just leave our kids anywhere.
Yes.
You might turn back and they may not be around anymore.
Correct.
So if a person is going through some mental health challenges,
Yes.
who should they seek apart from, because I think there is still a stigma here in Malaysia where yes, we are more exposed to mental health conditions, but at the same time there is this reluctance to seek for help.
Yeah.
It could be a social stigma, or it's also the way maybe a generation before us, where, like I said, pull up your socks and
Yes.
just be a bit of resilience. Then there's this tension. Oh, what should I do? Who should I go to? Is there any advice you would give them?
Well, I think the first advice is to come to the point of realizing that as a living being, as a human being, there are two aspects of our health, definitely, and one is the physical health, and the other one is the mental health.
Right.
And as long as we are alive as a human being, we have to accept that there is a physical and a non-physical. So when I go to schools and to talk to young people, I usually say that, look, substitute the word mental with the word non-physical. If it makes you feel more comfortable,
Okay.
I have physical health, I eat and I sleep and I play and I exercise.
Wow.
Same thing, I have a non-physical health and I still need to rest. I need to do certain things to enrich my non-physical health.
Wow.
So yeah, so that is one. And the other one is to teach them to do away with some of the normal but misuse of the word mental. So how often we hear people that says, "Oh, you must be mental."
A bit too often.
Correct. So it becomes a bit more of a pejorative thing that, oh, look, to use the Malaysian sort of word is when I say you're mental, it's like, oh, you're a bit gila,
Yeah.
you're not right, or you have lost your marble.
Yeah.
So I think we have to do away with that. But one of the things as a doctor, my solution to this is that I think there has to be more in the way of what I call primary intervention. So usually in medicine, when it comes to primary intervention, is actually the education of people.
Right.
So I think I feel that there ought to be an earlier education of people about mental health,
Yeah.
like with parenting, for example.
Right.
So when you look at a lot of books with parenting, there's a lot of emphasis on physical health, how to bring up healthy children. And there's a lot of emphasis on academic.
Right.
And, teaching your child to learn 7 languages before he's 6. But there's very little in the way of teaching parents about how to prepare your child so that he would be more mentally robust. So,
okay.
and I think that ought to be part of the education. I think that ought to be part of, let's say, postnatal classes and so I think we actually need a lot of that, so that by the time a person come to recognize that I have a mental health issues, that is not the first time the person hear about mental health, because you have been exposed to it before. So I think a lot of prejudices, or as you say, a lot of stigma, is because of the fact that that is the first time that I hear that, oh, I may have a mental health problems. So anything that you're not familiar with tend to bring fear.
Yeah.
Whereas if we teach the people and say, hey, that is part of you. There's nothing to be fearful about with physical health.
Right.
So there's nothing to be fearful about with non-physical health. So if we can achieve that, then you would find that people would want to seek help much faster. And because of the fact that, we have special intervention, for example, with physical health, like a very common one is heart disease, for example. So these days when people, they can recognize the symptoms of heart disease much earlier.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be frightened. And so I think the same thing with mental health. So I think it requires effort from the individual and the family, but I think it also requires effort from, I suppose, the higher authority like the government and the health department, for example.
Right.
Yes.
Well, I love how you have put it so plainly and beautifully. Physical health and non-physical
Yes.
health. And I think that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much, Dr. Cam.
Thank you.
For your time. And I want to say this to our viewers. If you are struggling with mental health, you are not alone. I want you to reach out. There will be a list of bodies that you can reach out to if you need help. But that's all for today's episode. We'll see you again at the next one.